Best Caps is fantastic. The problem is Caps is very binary right now because he's always going for these aggressive plays. Sometimes he just doesn't have the impact.
This time around, though, certainly was not an issue. We get to pick some bans this time. Camille will be taken off the board by Splyce. The blue side.
Okay. And Varus again. Open Varus ban.
And this is, I mean, I know Varus is very strong. But my question, why shrink the AD carry pool when Rekkles is the guy who will play anything in the AD carry position?
I mean, maybe because they just like the tier disparity, right? Early Jhin, let him play one of his niche picks. Splyce might think, they may not think they're very influential. And we don't know. We don't have any data right here because game one was all about the top side of the map.
True. Have to see if the bot lane becomes more influential as we move forward, or if Splyce can kind of tune up after game one, if they can adjust their playstyle, if Trashy can find a way to mitigate the pressure from Broxah.
Ooh, interesting bans here. I like on 7.3 that teams are much more willing to no longer stick to the LeBlanc, Rengar, Camille metagame. And Splyce, they get a chance to put Sencux on LeBlanc, one of the picks where when Splyce used to be struggling and Sencux came in alongside Perks as one of these well-known mid laners to potentially break open the mid lane scene. LeBlanc was one of his staple champions and he had 1v4, like 1v9 performances on this champion.
I mean, I remember the run down the mid lane into the quadra kill for the LeBlanc. Old kid, of course. I assume she could still do exactly the same, but Fnatic now must have a plan here because we saw Caps get taken down by GBM with this pick last time around when he opted for the Camille into that lane matchup. Camille's not available, but they need to have a plan. Shen, Malzahar, so far what they brought out.
But it also goes beyond this LeBlanc pick here. We need to look at the rest of the pickups. They have favorable matchups already. If it is Zyra into Malzahar, new Zyra does, or Zyra into the new Malzahar does fine. There were some changes to Zyra's kit, but the essence is still that she has the perma push and she has the poke advantage. So she should do more than fine. And then GP is a great matchup into Shen. So Fnatic, they haven't really won the first rotation of the draft. We need to see what Caps and Rekkles are going to bring to round out this composition and also where this Malzahar is going. This could technically still be a flex pick.
Fnatic, of course, have been very creative with their picks and bans, opting to flex a lot of things around. Luckily, we're pretty confident the Shen is going top lane, the Lee Sin going to jungle, so we have information. But Fnatic opting to pinch the jungle.
Yes, they're putting a lot of pressure here on Broxah's shoulders. He's a big guy. He has broad shoulders to be pressured. So maybe they can actually snowball off him because he had really good aggressive invades on this Lee Sin. Definitely not afraid to play aggressive on stage. Now with Graves and Kha'Zix off the board, Lee Sin locked in early. Is Trashy just going to go for the passive Ivern, or is he going to go for Rek'Sai again and think it was not an issue with the jungle pick?
Well, Jhin picked up for Rekkles. This was a pick in the first few weeks that we saw banned to get away from him time and time again when it was Ashe, Jhin, and the Varus present. Now given to him over for free.
Yeah, and now this Varus ban comes to bite Splyce. Because they banned it out themselves. They lost the second best champion, and now they may have to play something like Misfortune AD carry. Or how deep does Kobbe's cheese pool go? Or is he just going to pick up the generic Caitlyn?
I'm getting excited. I'm not going to talk about it. We don't talk about it. That seems more reasonable. There you go. Sivir coming up, and this could be important for Splyce. Sivir, of course, kind of the auto push champion, does come in huge in the late game, enables other people.
Good matchup into Jhin as well. It's considered the preferential pick if everything's off the board, because Spell Shield is really easy to counter Deadly Flourish with.
Of course, no travel time there. Once it starts, instant travel speed. And now opting once again for the Ivern pick in the hands of Trashy. We've seen this once or twice. Hasn't always looked too great on him, but I'm curious how it's going to work out this time.
Given the fact that they opened with LeBlanc and met a Shen response, I think this is actually a fantastic draft from Splyce. I really like the answers they've come up with. And the way they drafted around. We need to see what the answer is going to be in the mid lane against LeBlanc. It does seem like the Malzahar goes mid here and the Misfortune goes into support. But still, it's a rough matchup for the LeBlanc, and it will all depend on how well Caps and Broxah have synergy, because you can shut down this LeBlanc, but if he snowballs, there's also very little Malzahar can do.
And last time we saw Caps in the mid lane, he was, of course, against a Zyra. The pick we don't see a whole ton, has the range to kind of deal with Malzahar overall. And I appreciate the lockdown strategy, but I don't feel like we saw the same sort of carry potential coming out from Caps on this champion. And he looked so good last game when he got those leads in his hand, and it feels like Fnatic have adopted a completely different strategy this time around.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I hope actually this game goes even into the mid game, because the possibilities of this LeBlanc GP composition in the mid game played well by Splyce actually just make me want to see that and see how Fnatic react as a team. So definitely interested to see how it plays out. Also, what is that shirt?
It's bright, it's colorful.
Come on.
Stealing from the wardrobe of Trevor Quickshot Henry. Or maybe vice versa. They both love their patterned shirts.
Maybe they're both the same person. Have
Trevor's
you ever
not casting.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. Have you ever seen him cast a Splyce game with Yamato on stage?
Probably have.
Probably. I don't know. I can't prove it either way right now. This is it. Head on over to Twitter, #SPY1 if you think they can bring this back. If you think they can make it a best of 3. But if you're a Fnatic fan or if you're confident in the 2-0, it's #FNCWin that you need to put out there. @LO eSports is the place. Of course, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2. We're going to get into it. So much on the line for the Splyce lineup for Fnatic to come out of the mid-tier to look to put themselves on top once again, or will it be Splyce back up to snuff, performing as well as they used to?
Yeah, the crowd is ready here. A lot of Fnatic fans want them to take the 2-0, go back to kind of the prestige that was this organization, as the stage is dressed in yellow. And a lot of interesting matchups here, because with that flex, it allows the Misfortune to become the traditional counter pick to the Zyra, of course. So the Caps now takes a hit to enable his bot lane. Last draft, it was the bot lane taking a hit to enable the top side. Slightly different trick here by Nico in the picks and bans for Fnatic.
And I like this in theory. I want to see how it executes, but I like it in theory because last game, bot lane, not the big talking point. I want to see more emphasis this time around, see how Fnatic adjust.
And a meta shift that we've seen actually that kind of allows you to survive better in these poke bot lanes is obviously with lethality coming back, the longsword 3 potion start. Because it actually means it takes you much more time to get to the breaking point of out-sustaining for a bot lane to truly win. Also, that with longsword starts, you get rewarded a lot more for early bases. You don't need to wait for BF sword. You know, you could just base early on 750 and get that serrated dirt. Now, obviously, this is a traditional standoff here, where we see Mikyx trying to place as many plants as far into the lane as he can, and Fnatic obviously want to thwart that.
Just saying no for now. Line of scrimmage very clearly drawn by the plants here. The rest of the map reigns relatively even as well. No real sight on where the junglers will be starting. Ivern looking for the standard full clear top side. Lee Sin going to start on the blue.
And Broxah is basically starting smiteless right here. So this is something, if you pick a pressure matchup in the bot lane, you force the enemy jungler to maybe start smiteless. Trick has been doing this a lot lately, not wanting to reveal his start very early on.
Unpredictable pathing could be a huge boon here.
Versus Ivern.
Ivern, of course, the power to steal, to take away anything. If he knows you're on the opposite side of the map, he will walk in and take it all.
Yeah, really good zoning by Rekkles here on the 4th shot. Jesiz could have actually hit a lot more creeps there in that duration if they wanted to push. But they're comfortable with where the wave is parked right now. You saw him just hold up the 4th shot in the air, and Kobbe knew he could never approach the last hit.
I think many people have made the mistake of trying to all-in a Jhin level 1, assuming that the 4 bullets count against him. But that crit is all too lethal. And of course, the Splyce bot lane not going to fall for it.
Yeah, and you see that Fnatic's not over-pushing. This is a slightly over-aggressive trade, not in unison. It's something you see sometimes, but it's still okay. Rekkles gets to level 2, and this is because he did not over-push early, and they focused on only staying a marginal amount of HP on the creeps ahead. They can actually start denying the Splyce bot lane.
Exactly what we wanted to see, of course, punishing their advantage, extending it more. 3-14, the CS score. It will start to even out as the wave crashes into the tower, but a lot of pressure on Kobbe to last hit now, and already a sizable lead.
Look at Broxah right here. Double buffs are done. He's at the blast cone. Look at the surprise Wunder. This is going to be another solo death.
Side. And this is what we talked about in game 1. He didn't use the blast cone. This time he's adapted. Wunder in trouble, does have flash. Broxah moving forward, wants to go forward. Sonic Wave is available. His body's telling him yes. Mine wins out today.
Yeah, I really like the approach from Broxah. The idea was great. You get close to the GP. Hopefully he panic flashes and you can follow with double Q. It was a good hold from Wunder, so both parties honestly played that perfect. However, this risky attempt from Broxah backfires harder if it fails, because he would have been able to force that flash regardless if he just dashed in. But now they trade 2 flashes for 1. And that's actually, like holistically, it's better for Splyce, obviously.
Of course, could lock him down. Shen is relatively tanky in the early game, but Ivern just kind of grinds you away, has the true damage. But Broxah, rinse and repeat here.
Yeah, he has to double down on this play, then it is worth it. So let's see if Wunder is actually respecting the second gank.
Moving forward, so has no flash for the flash taunt. Broxah needs to find a slow to try to get the setup. Moving forward, can Wunder sidestep? Taunt does land, does heal up to cleanse it immediately. Looks like they're going to go for the dive. First blood again.
And this is so crucial, because if you lose that flash advantage and you then don't go back to punish it, then Splyce is a team win out. Now Trashy is counter-jungling a bit, but Trashy's counter-jungling is actually quite limited on Ivern. You can only take a camper smite, right? So you can't clear the full jungle. He's luckily the wolves were still down, so he's going to start on Scuttlecrab right now, but there's limited counter potential here for Splyce. So Broxah not getting punished. A really good read to go back to the top lane.
Really solid performance from him overall and paying so much attention to the top side of the map. Sencux still comfortable in these trades, but not winning out when it comes to health, forcing the mana pool of Caps to shrink ever smaller, though.
Yeah, but Sencux has a bit more time when he jumps in, because the Voidling spawns slower, which means they multiply slower. So overall, this matchup is slightly easier to play. You don't get punished as hard by surprise Voidlings. And this was just a visit from Trashy to get a preferential base for Sencux.
Happy to have it made. Just look for the lost chapter here. Or instead, Boots double Dorans, really focusing on winning out in that laning phase.
And also just enabling some of the roam potential, because once he hits 6, like look what this comp wants to do rather. Zyra Sivir want to push. They want to poke down. You move down with Ivern and Daisy on 6, you get the GP ulti, and you get the LeBlanc coming in, doing more burst than a Shen ulti can deal with.
Interesting setup overall. sOAZ on the top lane, getting a lot more attention, I think, than he's used to. Now, last week, of course, we saw very few games overall for Broxah so far. This is his, 5th on the stage, but in the 3 games he played last week, 3% jungle proximity, which is significantly lower than any other player thus far. But this week he shows us something new. He shows us a new strategy, and it has been to set sOAZ up for success.
Yeah, and Trashy right now, he's in kind of counter ganking mode here. Broxah is going to face check, but it is a level 5 Ivern. You're completely fine. It's like, ooh, oh, it's actually
the classic.
Just a tree. Trees don't hurt.
It's like a game of chicken. I'll run at you until you get close, then I'm going to turn away. Either side looking to get too aggressive. Trashy going to shut down the vision, but they'll know where the control ward is. We'll make it easy to clean up.
Such a dirty build by sOAZ too. The triple bead Tabbies.
That has to be. Oh wow, that's not a lot of
It's just so annoying to play. If you're a physical champion, you're always behind. You get ganked once, you survive, you tell your team, guys, time to flashes. I got 2 of the bastards. And then right after, as you're typing it in chat, you die. It's fine, okay, I scale, I'm GP. You press tab and like, this guy comes back with 3 beats. And into Tabi. Hang on, here's LeBlanc.
Moving forward, but the vision is there.
Yeah. And that's the difference between Fnatic and Splyce. Fnatic are calling these roams from mid to top, from mid to bot. Splyce last week had issues filtering the information that was on the map and sharing it with all their teammates.
Because once again, we can't hear exactly what they're saying to each other, but when someone moves and no one responds, you know something is wrong in that communication structure. You know that there is an issue there. Hoping that they are going to adapt this week.
Oh, and look at the reaction swap here. Obviously, this is the classic move against Shen. You swap your bot lane to the top on Shen 6. So Fnatic, they push in the wave, and they do the same thing.
Trying to shut it down. So it's taking a lot of damage. Wunder getting pretty aggressive.
Now this is a Unity issue here on the side of Fnatic, however. Broxah is clearing on the bot side while Fnatic is making his answer. It's actually being a really good rotation, because this is what Trashy wants to do on his 6, have the Daisy come out here as well.
Rolling back, sOAZ will have the ultimate to rotate, but he needs to go back to get more health if they want to look for any kind of fight. Pressure in favor of Splyce. Is there one move ahead when it comes to the macro game here, even if they lost out on that early game?
And I think if you're Splyce, you push and you base again, because when you play with a Gangplank, this move becomes double effective. Because if you can ever move on a Shen lane, you can push him in, take his turret in a numbers advantage, and you remove the potential of your opponent to react because you have Cannon Barrage for the other lane.
Really looking to capitalize on that. Of course, GP needs time to scale up, to get more items under his belt. So just giving him the opportunity to ult and continue farming may be exactly what Splyce need as we move further into this game. But already this looks so much better from them in the early game. Yes, they gave up that first kill, but it has not. The bleeding is stopped for now.
And I wonder if Splyce is going to do this. I would love to see them finish these bases, run bot. And again, now Rekkles and Jesiz are catching this wave. But imagine if Kobbe and Mikyx were already here pushing this lane with Wunder, and then Rekkles and Jesiz like, oh, damn. We got outrotated. Let's push a turret. Oh no, Cannon Barrage. I think that's the play that Splyce is looking for right now.
Setting it up. Kobbe, Mikyx running down to the bottom lane. Mikyx no level 6 yet, so not going to have quite the amount of kill pressure they'd like, but the pressure is overall in their favor.
And they might as well unleash the turbo. Pop that ulti.
Go.
Rotate faster.
On the hunt.
Make Monte Cristo proud.
On the hunt for macro. Go. No. Not quite going to be effective here.
Fnatic can't do anything, so no, I'm not a fan of this one.
Really likes farm. If there's one thing we know about Wunder, of course, over extending multiple times in the last game just to try to secure farm, just to try to secure extra waves. Now maybe blowing the ult a little bit too early.
Now they have to be careful because they know Fnatic base, so if they overchase into lane, they can get punished, but they can get the chip damage here. Will Splyce greed and will Fnatic make it on time?
Oh, and this is the Ivern setup we see so much. Sieging down on this tower, and it's getting ever lower. The creep wave's still there to back them up as well. The plants zoning out the opposition.
Yeah, good rotation from Splyce. This time, this is the Splyce that we're used to seeing in the past. You know, maybe not the greatest individual players, but fantastic macro with a couple set of lane swaps and, let's call it rotations. They open up first turret for no reaction whatsoever.
Curtain call comes out. Not going to be too effective, though. 4-shot does not connect either, and Splyce walking away pretty happy with that exchange overall.
Yeah, even CS in the top lane as well, for example. You know, Wunder catching up despite getting punished early on. He is accelerating in gold both due to the turret and the top wave that he then picked up unpunished with his ulti.
Once again, just moments ago, we mentioned how the communication had not been as good for Splyce. They had not been as consistent communicating robes and communicating what the next step was, but they are playing so well this time around.
Yeah, we see a difference in Fnatic as well, where they can't spike very early. Malzahar has no odd play potential in this matchup until level 6, where then Broxah needs to visit. So Sencux got a lot more room to play comfortable in the early game with the draft that Fnatic elected. This Malzahar flex put the onus of performance on the bot lane of Fnatic, allowing them to counterpick, and they couldn't make it happen. But we see the adaptation still though from Jesiz, much earlier sidestone. I like it a lot more. In previous weeks, he was building Spelties rank 2 here, and I'm really glad to see him kind of shift around in the more vision-centric style.
And the one thing that we can say is that the lane-focused style of Rekkles and Jesiz, as they aspire to be, has been much more effective when we look at the difference in CS.
Yes.
113 to 87, that is exactly the kind of lead you want.
But that's also the cost of rotations, right? And maybe 20 of the CS is what funneled into Wunder in the end with that ultimate. That is the cost, and that was in the lane swap meta as well. You would always be ahead in gold, but certain members would be behind in CS because you were just moving much faster and playing for those objectives. So that requires you to snowball in the end.
Splyce just looking to continue to set up the macro plays, not looking to fight the opponents,
Yeah,
just looking to fight the towers.
From Malzahar here, so forcing Jesiz to ulti, getting even more CS into that bot lane. Look at the advantage. Not only Rekkles is ahead, Jesiz is ahead.
10 to 4.
That's
You only have 40% of his CS.
Yeah, 150% CS lead here. Jesiz versus Mikyx on that MF 80 carry.
Percentages are fun. Of course, for now, Fnatic not losing out on too much. The CS advantages means that the gold is relatively even, and while Splyce are in the driver's seat for now, Fnatic are taking steps to neutralize what Fnatic is looking for.
And now that Caps is ramping up in terms of 1v1 potential, having 5 points into that Malefic Visions that he can then pop up with good AP scaling on Sencux, plus the Nether Grasp. Sencux is like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm moving to a side lane. And then they just put the Sivir in the mid lane, and this is the classic almost. Sivir in the mid lane with On the Hunt that can make picks mid or rotate to a side lane. You have GP that can always assist in any lane where there's a skirmish, and it's a great answer to Shen. That's why this Gangplank pick works so well conventionally into Shen.
And a lot of pressure here coming down from the Splyce lineup. Fnatic very cautious to play around these kind of global abilities, this wide amount of mobility, the insane amount of mobility rather.
Yeah, and we see the map or the game kind of slow down a bit as well. So we're getting what we were hoping for, which was an even mid game with these two comps.
And this is going to tell us so much about both Splyce and Fnatic, because we now see Splyce that they can get out of the early game. They can not just concede of so many objectives in the early game, but the question is, how is Fnatic going to play without that massive lead? How are they going to play when they are not clearly winning out and snowballing these lanes?
Because the shot calling becomes a lot more subtle. And more importantly, what you need to do is call away from bad fights. However, see Broxah set up here.
Oh, Krepo flash in! Shen's coming in as well. This could be massive. Sencux is on the backside, but the chains do not connect. sOAZ is moving forward. Gangplank call to look for the disengage, but that is a clean pick coming in for Fnatic.
Yeah, Gangplank ulti was used. Wunder canceled teleport as well, so Fnatic getting a lot of this plays. They have teleport eventually
going forward! Oh, that is so much damage, and at the end of the day, Sencux is going to get one back, but it's the 1-for-1. Sencux isn't done yet, though, has to pull back. Deadly Flourish doesn't connect.
Yeah, Wunder was on the top, and he's pathing down right now. When Splyce is fine, Wunder should be pressuring this turret in the top lane to force sOAZ to teleport back once he's alive. He's actually running mid, so Splyce is going all out on this mid lane turret, hoping to punish into wave clear.
Broxah's over the wall. He has a decent amount of health. Splyce look like they have the man advantage for now. Broxah taken low. Sencux wants to go, and he's kicked back.
Oh, Broxah! You sexy monster!
It doesn't matter if it's Cassio or LeBlanc. If you want to get outplayed,
Now this must feel so good. And look at this man, stone cold. He doesn't care whether you are impressed. Broxah is just here to perform.
And there's still so much to learn about Broxah, but man, his mechanics are clean. There's a reason they picked this Lee Sin.
I mean, the guy's looking really good on Lee Sin. But I feel like such a negative Nancy to wonder why the hell was Wunder pathing down? Like, why double down into a situation where you can get outplayed? And if you're Splyce, go for the small victories. Take that top lane turret down, at least a notch.
Still looking to take mid. Mid is so low. All they need is 1 second, maybe 2 on it to make it happen, but...
So this is great from Fnatic. Decisiveness is what you need. This is a meta where Unicorns reign supreme up until today. Instant engage. The GP ulti gets cancelled. At this point, I get it. You want another pick. I think sOAZ trading his life isn't the best thing to do here, but I understand the rationale. You're 5v3, going in for a taunt flash. He almost gets Kobbe as well. If it's a double taunt, it's great. But it funnels a kill into Sencux, which is really important. But right now, sOAZ is dead for 15 seconds. The wave has been dismantled and Sivir can take it. This is where Wunder stays top and takes top lane turret.
Instead does not opt for that, and he's farming up. He has the Trinity Force. He is a threat within himself. He can pressure out these lanes, but once again, small issues when it comes to decision making cost Splyce what could be a greater advantage.
Yeah, and now we have Broxah with a Hex Drinker, where he can have a lot more leeway. He has that Warrior's finish, but he went for the Drakos variant, so a lot more vision for Fnatic. I think it's great. This all speaks... So it just goes well for Fnatic, I think, for how you need to approach the game. With the vision that you can provide now from both Jesiz and Broxah, it's so much easier to make informed decisions as this team. You can also spot your enemies much sooner, which means you don't need to react on the fly anymore.
Looking good overall. Fnatic finding themselves with a small lead. Nothing major though. Small exchanges here. Broxah.
He forces the flash 1v1 on the enemy top lane right now, because he has that pressure, and that's exactly what you need to do.
And this is the 3-0-1 Lee Sin. This is the solo queue terror. I mean, we so rarely see this kind of snowball in a competitive game, but Broxah's playing incredibly well, and Fnatic are using the advantage.
Yeah, and he's playing out his global. He knows he can gank for sOAZ again, because sOAZ can then, you know, pay it forward with the Shen.
Moving in, now Fnatic doing what they can in the mid lane, maybe looking to take a tower. Gangplank trying to neutralize the pressure, but it's too little too late, and once again, it's just farm that Wunder gets his hands on.
Super good setup for Fnatic here, because they get the flash in the bot lane, they negate the ultimate, and they still get the turret. They can rotate for an additional objective to boot in this Mountain Dragon. So they trade 1 for 1, plus flash, plus ulti, plus dragon. A fantastic trade here for Fnatic.
Sounds like a little less favorable than 1 for 1 across the board. Of course, towers...
It's like in the movies where it's like, I'll see your bet and raise you a dragon, a flash, and a cannon barrage. Even though that's not how poker works.
Teach me more about poker, Krepo. Let me know.
But movie poker's wrong, because people always say, I'll match your bet and raise you then, but you're supposed to raise immediately. You can't do that.
Is it wrong? Can you announce that you're matching and then raising, or is
no,
that just
you raise. You don't do the one-liners, you just raise. That's what Fnatic did right here. They raised down a turret, and then they took a dragon.
And now, things starting to look very much in their favor. Of course, gold relatively even. Mountain Drake, a small advantage to have overall. Will make Baron easier in the future. You already have a Malzahar. You have a Fed Lee Sin. Could be pretty easy to take, and it's something that Splyce have to respect. Sencux waiting in the wings, looking for an opportunity now to turn this game back in their favor.
He wants to make some picks here. And he still is a snowballing LeBlanc, but he is kind of slowed down in his build because he had to pick up the QSS along the way. So his ramp is not as steep as he would like it to be.
Of course, Jez is still very vulnerable. Has the extra health. Coming in from the first Sightstone upgrade, but not really going to be enough to mitigate the LeBlanc combo. Sencux leaping over the wall, can't afford to get tagged up here. Isn't even going to take the ward away in the end.
Yeah, side lane pressure being put here by Wunder in the bot lane. That's good, because he has obviously access to 2 globals very soon.
Going back, waiting for the setup. A little bit of poke goes in, not going to mean a whole lot. Isn't able to connect with a passive there. And I mean, what is the next move for these teams when we look at it? Because it feels like both teams are kind of wandering around mid lane, looking for an opening.
It's a good question to ask, because Fnatic, they're in a bind. Nobody wants to play the side laner. Between Malzahar and Jhin, you don't want to play against on the side lane against the LeBlanc, especially not when she has QSS. So Caps is kind of lost right here. This is an incredibly difficult position to be for a newer player. So they're letting the wave push naturally, but Fnatic is losing a lot of CS right now in the top lane. So now they globally decide to kind of rotate there with 4 members, leaving mid lane exposed. It's It feels like why is both their carries are in the top lane. This should prompt a reaction, and a very easy reaction from Splyce in the mid lane.
Moving forward.
So we're looking for Jesiz to hold with his ulti here. Interesting.
Kobbe committed. Exhaust is used on Broxah on the side. Mikyx has to be careful. Boomerang Blade to disengage. And you can see the pressure from the Malzahar from the Jhin on the top side not amounting to a whole lot. LeBlanc is there to cover.
Exactly. So generally speaking, if you have a double threat composition and both your threats are stuck in a side lane, there has to always be an answer map-wise for a team to make. There's just always, it's just never a good thing to do that this early in the game. And I think Splyce, they just stall top lane, they forced an ulti in the mid lane, and they now have momentum and they have kind of priority to move into enemy jungle too. So this is Fnatic kind of losing control of the map.
Giving up a lot of small advantages now. And it felt like they were in control for those few minutes when Broxah was out playing, when Splyce was overextending, but now that Splyce are playing slow, now that Splyce are playing patient again, Fnatic are struggling to find an opening. Yeah,
the time it took for that play to unravel though, there was pressure for sOAZ in the bot lane. So now he is leveraging his advantage that he got. Still in a good spot. Wunder obviously got time to scale. But there's that wave pressure, and more importantly, Broxah has the liberty to visit because bottom right side of the jungle has been uncontested so far from Splyce.
Yeah, a little bit of vision on the top side will let them know if they want to contest Baron vision, but the bottom side, pretty much dark on the side of Splyce. We'll spot out the red buff. Ivern has smite, so it's pretty easy for him to take this one away, but they're not going to contest this whatsoever. They're giving up red buff. Pings are coming out on the middle lane. Nothing
now
going to be given in exchange.
Caps is showing in the top lane right now, so this could be a reactionary window for Splyce where they push through. They know bullet times are cooldown. And Caps is trying his best to push safely. He does not want to be the guy that gets caught on the side lane, but he needs to attack that wave, so that's good. He started off with the Malefic Visions. It'll at least slow push out. So now they force LeBlanc to go top, and now Fnatic want to answer somewhere. This is kind of the way push and pulling goes with waves.
And it does, of course, offer opportunity for the teams to back. Now see Wunder on the bottom side, clearing out the waves. Things overall looking pretty good for both sides, really just waiting for them to find an opportunity because, as we mentioned, Splyce have these kind of nice side lane setups, but Broxah's maybe looking to make a play of his own. Mikyx kicked in the wall, Shen goes in, that's the pick that they wanted. Now it's Trashy all on his lonesome. Force shot connects, as does the Deadly Flourish. Sencux leaping forward, Cap's potentially in trouble. There's the Gangplank ult on the backside. It's not going to find anybody, but the fight is not done yet. Disengage comes out from Fnatic, and it's finally going to end, or is it? Sencux leaps forward, walks away, empty-handed. Yeah, another super decisive engage from Fnatic working as a team. They only find the support, but I like the fashion in which they're doing it. Can they hold, however? That's the question. Imagine not going to be popped. Rekkles a little bit more vulnerable now. Rush made up, and Splyce desperately trying to siege this tower once again.
Ooh, look at the teleport here. It's Caps flanking. Seems like Ansel was double TP on a single ward. Mikyx's not here. This is double pincer.
Splyce. Mikyx's way too far away. Sencux is left on his lonesome. They're moving in onto Trashy. Going forward, but Wunder's going to grab a kill. He flashes over the wall. Trashy set to fall. Now it's Sencux in trouble, but he has the footwork. He's got the mobility to make it out. Broxah is not looking to give him a clean escape. Flash to safety. Fnatic. Nice flank in the end.
And that's how you really capitalize, one by running double TP, but also of controlling an entire quadrant of a jungle. There was no vision from Splyce. They did not see it coming. sOAZ taunt flashed forward. Kobbe just stood still. Then panic pressed spell shield and was like, oh, I guess I'm dead right now. And now Fnatic, they reap the benefits of this play by starting Baron.
Sencux held still. Mikyx now the one in trouble. Rekkles goes forward, not even worried about getting knocked up, but he should be. The shutdown comes in. Wunder's looking to clean up. He's already got two. Last game, you can't throw a Baron if you don't do Baron, but they try it this time, and it's not looking good. Fnatic throw it all away in the pit.
Maybe I was a little early about talking about benefits and the reaping thereof, because holy moly, Sencux GP damage. That was interesting. Let's just again. So I like the start. They force Mikyx flash. Broxah not afraid to flash off to his support. They get Trashy. His shield goes down, so he is forced off. Then the double TP later on comes in. Caps also survives this. So this is all a great start for Fnatic. It's a great follow-up. But they don't really respect Sencux in the end.
This is brutal. You can see on your screen.
Yeah.
Mid lane tower drops. Ocean Drake dropping as Splyce finally find an advantage here.
Yeah, look at this double TP. Look at just at Kobbe. You can see how surprised Splyce is by the reaction. sOAZ flashes over him. And then he's like, oh, I guess we're getting ganked. Because like their cameras are way above their characters. You have to also imagine that. When you're playing as a player, it is very insightful to think about where their mouse and their camera is. That's why sometimes you can catch, for example, Ezreal's off guard in lane, because they will never have their mouse close enough to their characters to then shift backwards.
Slow reactions come in, but at the end of the day, it's that fight in the pit that gives Splyce an opportunity, gives them a lead. Wunder 4-1-0, gets the Yomus, gets the Jarm's Fist as well. Probably a lot more comfortable in the side lane now.
Yeah, and it's the right members to funnel gold into as well. Wunder and Sencux really have to carry. Kobbe and Mikyx are just the utility pairing right here. They're wave clear bots in the mid lane to really set up these strong side lanes. Right now, Broxah hiding again here. Silence.
Nothing. Oh, Sonic Wave not going to connect.
That's obviously how hard it is to deal with LeBlanc. She is incredibly mobile on the side lane, and it's very hard to punish her. Then you draft Lockdown, she gets a QSS.
Yay!
Checkmate. It's over. You don't gank this guy anymore.
Not going to find the opportunity. And 2-1-3 now means the LeBlanc is starting to scale up. Yes, the QSS held her back, but now getting the pieces of that death cap, and it's a good look overall for Sencux. Wasn't hugely impactful in the early game, but the mid game coming in big once or twice.
Yeah, and I really... We're seeing the result here of putting caps on a carry where he's more of a kind of a setup than a finisher. Or he can't finish his own plays as well. He's very dependent on his team to follow up, and it feels like Fnatic slowed down when they draft sOAZ on a supporter, caps on a supporter, and they funnel every threat into their bot lane. Because Splyce completely rotated them in the early game.
Curtain call goes in, Kobbe with the side step. He's going to dodge out the force shot. Fnatic getting a little desperate there to force something. And this is interesting, because I feel like who really carries the team fights on this game on the side of Fnatic? Malzahar has a combo, it's awesome. Jhin has a combo as well, but after that, where does the damage come from? Who can follow up if they don't immediately start taking members out?
Yeah, that's the key. They need to immediately take so many down switches on a team fight, but it's a 5-on-4. Not a full-blown 5-on-5. They need to make a single pick. Now Broxah is the one getting picked off.
Oh, not what he wanted. Pops to safety. No one going to pursue. Root call connects.
So while just putting side lane pressure, that's good, because it's very tempting if you're in Fnatic's position to keep the map tiny and always group up in the mid lane and just kind of fight your way out, but you need side lane pressure.
Shen goes down, pushes one more wave forward. Wunder there to pick it up. LeBlanc, no need to head to the top side quite yet, but may just match the Malzahar. The rest of Splyce move forward. Baron's still up and on the table, but Fnatic have the defensive vision. Splyce, it's not available to them quite yet. Gonna need to see a little more setup from the Splyce squad.
And they're working much better together here in terms of setup. You know, two-man invade, always. They also have a really safe approach. Ivern Zyra, it doesn't get much safer in terms of can I face check this brush, because you can spawn a brush in the brush, and then you can spawn seeds in there as well to get vision. So it's very easy for you to predict who's going to pick you off. Also, when you're looking at who is waiting for you, there's still a decent amount of range necessary to get Malzahar ulti, or you just spot Broxah. So in that sense, Splyce have a doable way to get the vision into the enemy jungle.
You can see it all set up now. They'll know exactly when Fnatic come to contest, if they even want to opt for the Baron, but a control ward in the pit keeps Fnatic comfortable for now. Splyce back off across the map.
They definitely need more control wards on the side of Splyce if they really want to solidify this Baron.
Wunder continues to farm. Fake LeBlanc on the way. Maybe it's time to get that Shen flash cooldown. Sencux on the top side, though, will reveal to be the real LeBlanc, and Broxah taking a lot of damage. I mean, saved at the end of the day by the Maw Mortius, but that was close. If he wasn't quite so far ahead, he may have found his own grave right there in that instance.
It also puts it on cooldown. It's really annoying for Broxah because he wants it in the fights if he goes all in.
I mean, we saw Broxah kind of being the aggressive forward playmaker in the early game, and now it's a little bit too aggressive, I think.
Splyce, it's been great. It's been fantastic. There's some beautiful rotations, but can somebody please check the Baron pit? Just once. Just walk in there. Hey.
Last time we cast it, it was Rawcat with a single blue ward that stopped a Baron for such a long period of time, and now it's Fnatic with a single control board.
And it's really easy for Fnatic not to face check any of these brushers, because they're like, they're not in Baron, they're in our jungle.
Process of elimination. No one's in the lane.
No one's
in the Baron pit. Probably in the jungle.
Probably waiting for us to face check. It's actually quite ludicrous that they haven't checked it. And now Splyce is going like, damn, look at our river vision. Did you sweep this? Yeah, I swept this. All right, we had triple deep wards, right? Yeah. Why aren't they face checking? How did they know?
Why won't they fall into the trap, Krepo?
Yep. Oh, Wunder.
Taking a lot of damage here. He's going to try to cleanse out. Has to run away. It's a lot of mobility. Redemption goes in. He's going to get healed up. sOAZ may have bit off more than he could chew. Broxah can't even get the follow-up. It's Sencux out of nowhere. Wunder is going to get shut down. But Sencux is going to look to clean up here. Slowly ticking down. The healing reduction means sOAZ is not going to get much of anything. And that's the double kill in the end.
Yeah, really good idea from Fnatic. They tried to attack it, but Sencux was just there much faster than Fnatic kind of accounted for. And now there's no reaction possible from this 3-man unit. And Splyce, they can take full control of the map right now.
Right now, it's full control of that bush.
Yeah. Nobody fishing in this bush.
Now advancing down mid lane, can just set their sights on that Mountain Drake, take the small objectives.
Yeah, really good timing here. Like the way this all works out. And this is not a play initiated by them. It's just them catching honestly a failure from Fnatic. Well reacted though by Sencux. Finally the communication comes in. It's like, okay, you need help. Well, we're there. They take a Mountain, which makes it much easier for them to threaten the Nashor as well. They don't really lose too much either.
Good look overall. Caps will get something back on the top side in exchange. Splyce remain at about a 3K gold lead. The tower will fall. Mitigate that to about 2,000. Nothing major at 30 minutes into the game. But Splyce clearly taking the steps in this game to remain ahead.
Let's see, did Sencux see him? Well, I think Sencux was just trying to make a pick of his own here. And then Broxah, he's going defensive, but sOAZ is going aggressive. And that is a bit of a failure, because if sOAZ says, like, I'm going to taunt flash, Broxah goes in, they get GP much faster, and maybe they can fight their way out.
It's a bit of a stretch, but definitely offers better prospects than going one at a time into the face of the LeBlanc. Moving forward, maybe look for a little bit more. Curtain call comes out. Caps is on the side. Once again, Shen going in onto the Malzahar, but no follow-up. The snare connects. Splyce are pulling back. Splyce are in control, and Fnatic has blown everything outside of the Malzahar.
Yeah, major key ultimates being used on the side of Fnatic, whereas Splyce finding comfort in their ability to kite and reset team fights.
Now pulling backwards. Fnatic in position potentially to contest this tower, but there's so much wave clear with this Gangplank. Barrel setup comes in.
Yeah, they have to be careful for the turn potential here as well, because Kobbe still has On the Hunt available. Looking like a reset. The gold lead was 3,000 for Splyce earlier. It is only 2.3 right now, and even if it would be the same thing, relatively speaking, it has shrunk, right? But there is also the scaling component that we didn't need to wonder about. Like this Gangplank in a late game is going to pop off.
And I mean, the thing we always talk, I mean, it's basically a meme at this point. I mean, the Sivir 4 item win condition is real and alive every time you see this champion. When she gets to the late game, Ricochet becomes one of the most disgusting abilities in the game when it comes to damage output. And, I mean, Gangplank as well. We've seen old Gangplank more than anything with the double IE, barrel montage, quadra kills, but it's still there for Wunder as well with this pick.
Yeah, because he becomes also tanky. So the issue with late game Gangplank is that while he's kind of lower damage, late game he deals a lot of damage, but he's also tanky enough that you can't really punish him if you catch him, because he's already hard to catch because of the orange. Late game he adds like, yeah, maybe a Sterix to that, or a Maw, preferably not both, because it doesn't really work that way.
Rest in peace that era of the meta. I enjoyed that as a person who played 80 characters. Everyone else hated it, but it was fun.
All right, pick off attempt here in the bottom lane on sOAZ.
It's going to be all too easy. I mean, there's just nothing for him to do here. Wunder, all too easy for him to try to clean this up. sOAZ dashes away. Sencux now on a rampage.
Yeah, the problem is that Fnatic can't answer in the mid lane. So they drafted like a suppression artist in Caps, but he can't really do anything. Even with flash up, there's nobody he can pick off here. It's too easy for Splyce to attack the global first, the team later.
And half health means Caps has to go back, which means they're going to concede any pressure anywhere across the map. And the question is, what will Splyce do with this? In the past, it has been failed Baron pates as they fail to clear the pit, but now the pit is empty.
Yeah, Trashy has had a notorious amount of Baron stolen against him, so there is definitely hesitation here on the side of Splyce.
Caps uses TP as well. Baron getting lower, 7k health. Broxah has an opportunity to steal it as well. It's so easy for Elise to take these.
Yes, this could be a defining moment for Broxah, but the Baron's in a brush, so they don't actually have vision. He has to guess entirely. Now Rekkles reveals it, so they know it's a 3k. DPS stops, Sencux goes in.
Sencux sweeps, backs out, loses a little bit of health, but does dissuade them from going in. They have vision. Broxah wants to go for it. Can he get it? No, Wunder's going to grab it in the end. Broxah makes it to safety, but it's Splyce with the Baron.
Yeah, it was an entire guessing game, and this time there was a lot of patience on the side of Splyce. They started damaging, stopped it right after, started it again, and they were relatively sure of getting the Baron. However, it's still Wunder with the final damaging blow to it.
And that has to be a terrifying moment for Trashy. And I mean, to miss so many Barons on the competitive stage, I mean, you have to walk away from those games so disappointed in yourself. But this time, at least his team gets it.
Yeah, the only caveat is if a team calls burst at 1.2k, then it doesn't matter who deals its final damaging instance, because it can be literally frames off each other. Because that's the way a lot of pro teams communicate in Asher. It's not like in solo queue where you guess what's going on. A lot of the times, these guys will, on beforehand, especially on slow Nashers like that, burst on X amount of HP. So a burst at 1.2 could be smite plus a barrel. That is 1.2k damage. That's more than Lee can do even with Q smite Q, for example. And that can solidify you Nashers without the jungler technically getting the final blow.
Well, with Nashers solidified, Curtain Call is going to come out just to keep the hopes of Fnatic alive. Redemption going to cancel out any of that damage. Gangplank ult zones him off the tower. In goes Daisy. Right back out, but the tower now set to fall, and Splyce in absolute control on the top side of the map. Wunder sent back to deal with the Shen split pushing. Yeah, it's a slow, steady siege.
This Quicksilver Sash has essentially rendered Caps useless because he can't use his ulti on Wunder's GP. He can't use it on Trashy because why the hell would you use it on Ivern? Like, you're not even going to kill this guy in time. You can't use it on LeBlanc, and Sivir has a spell shield, plus she's out of range most of the time. This Malzahar is not able to influence this game, especially not from behind.
It's just be so infuriating to go from Rise, where you had all the impact in the world, from your top laner being fed and ahead to dying in the 1v1.
Yeah, and it started so well for Fnatic here with return gank from Broxah, snowballing topside, but the set of beautiful rotations from Splyce, really playing around the Shen ultimate and allowing them to get even more of an advantage using Cannon Barrage is what propelled them in the early game, and they technically never let go.
As you said, excellent to see. And now the question for me, as we're close to confirming a game 3 here, is what needs to change for Fnatic? What about this composition? What about the way they played held them back in this game?
I mean, there was that Baron.
Yes, definitely. Baron.
Probably don't do Baron versus Gangplank LeBlanc. I almost forgot about that when I said Splyce technically never let go. I meant I meant that in the most liberal way of technically.
Yeah, yeah. Then Wunder pulled the trigger and killed like what, 4 people? Yep. So
perhaps they did let go for just a little bit, but they're not letting go now. That's what we're trying to say.
It's important. Context, people, context. Of course, going in on a Mikyx, maybe looking for the pick here. sOAZ tries to find the flank. That's exactly how they want to start the fight. sOAZ moving forward. They're just a little bit too tanky, but Rekkles is getting zoned out on the backside. They're all grouped up. They want to keep going. Broxah getting locked up by Daisy. Kobbe's so low, but there's no one there to do the damage. Rekkles going to execute Daisy.
There's a Gangplank fight going on here in the bottom lane. Double kill for Wunder, but Rekkles cleans that up. That means 3 members on each side remain.
Good to see. Splyce still with the gold lead. Fnatic potentially in trouble. Rekkles blocks what he can with Edge of Night. Sencux takes him so low. The shield coming in. Safeguard to buy just a bit of time, but how long before the mobility is up? Broxah trying to bait him out.
All right, decent fight from both sides here. Wunder still picked up 2 kills, though. It's so hard to funnel that gold into the Gangplank. He's running out of item slots. That is one good thing for Fnatic.
Kobbe, of course, just going to heal up here with the Warlords as much as he can. They're just determined to burn down the Elder Dragon. They have 2 Drakes as well. Will be a significant amount of true damage, and that backed up with the 6k gold lead could be the final nail in the coffin for Fnatic.
Yeah, because you just see, barring any engage mistakes, it's so hard for Fnatic to actually find targets. They have to resort to all-inning Mikyx, who then still gets spells off. We talked about it earlier, how hard it is for Caps to find any agency, any semblance of damage in the fight. His build is also so utility focused with this Rylai's Crystal Scepter. It's more of a support item right now.
And once again, we have to reiterate, you can't kill Ivern, GP cleanses, LeBlanc cleanses, Sivir has a spell shield, and you cannot burn everything on Mikyx and expect to win a fight against a team this far ahead.
It's rough.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic, I think, almost completely out of options, waiting for Splyce to leave an opening, some sort of vulnerability for them to find a way back into this game.
Yeah.
And I mean, resort to the Fnatic Classic, right?
I'm so tired of that. Let's not talk about that random brush cap because it is the right thing to do. But let's just look at what Fnatic needs to do in next game then. If they end up losing this one, I think we need to see Mikyx at least more power, more forward pressure coming out of either Caps or sOAZ. Because there's too many eggs in the bot lane basket.
Not what we quite wanted to see. And when we look at it too, the CS lead was massive, but it never transitioned into anything. And yes, Rekkles has great numbers this game, but it hasn't won them fights. It hasn't won them the game.
But Yamato did his team such a service here with his draft on blue side, because he drafted them a super comfortable composition. You have Sencux on the LeBlanc, which he likes playing into a matchup where he doesn't actually get that pressure that much in the early game. You have Trashy on the utility jungler, where he can play relatively safely on the Ivern. It fits his style. You have Wunder on a side lane carry that scales well. It's also what he likes to do. And then you have a kind of a plug-and-play pushing bot lane in Sivir Zyra, and then it all ties together in a beautiful 1-3-1 composition with ways to help side lanes.
Not only that, Kobbe loves these late game carries. Now has Sivir who can single-handedly win out these fights, has the 4-item spike, and for both of these teams, we look at what this set means. This is putting yourself ahead of the rest of the middle of the pack. This is potentially the playoff preview of quarterfinals.
This is solidifying your place in your group to get to playoffs. Top 3 teams make it. Obviously, you want to improve, but if you look at the skill difference right now in each group between kind of Splyce and their respective opponents and Fnatic and their respective opponent, it was already there. If you can then add a little point lead to that, to buffer that, this victory means a lot.
I mean, it could mean everything when it comes to these playoff standings. Deciding those matchups, seeing who you're matched up against, finding out if you have the higher seed, the side selection, because we've seen how important blue side can be, and it may be just the same case when it comes to the playoff games. Yeah,
Fnatic as well, they don't want to lose track of Misfits. There's still hope for them to kind of hop over them, as the preseason rankings kind of guessed it would happen, but Misfits looking super strong right now, so idle hope, but
defying expectations, whereas Fnatic Game 1, I think met expectations. This is the Fnatic we wanted to see from the start, but here in Game 2, they're now struggling, and this is the kind of the shade of Fnatic that we saw in weeks past.
But positive note, their replacement jungler has fit in really well. Strong individual plays, decent approach to vision, ganks for sOAZ, which sOAZ likes.
I like that. Chalk it up on my resume. I'm good, and I'll gank for sOAZ.
Hired.
sOAZ, get that guy. We want him.
Another Baron attempt here or setup. This time there is some pit checking going on.
And of course, still have to be careful. A lot of potential AoE damage between Jesiz and Rekkles.
Yeah, the advantage right now is they can start it, or they could wait for the side lane push because Wunder has the advantage. But look how quick this Baron's falling here. Broxah just finds out they're starting it. 1-2 seconds. Now his Q's on cooldown. Now he has to go for the blind guess.
Oh, curtain call comes out. This can steal it, but Daisy's in position to block. Third shot.
They're looking for the burst with the 4th shot plus League View. I think Splyce is actually in a bad spot if Rekkles goes for the shot.
Maybe looking to go forward. Daisy getting knocked down. Broxah's going to go in. No, Trashy's going to get it. That's the redemption story. Trashy takes it away.
Trashy takes it away, but Splyce left room for Fnatic to get this Nasher. I don't think you should be that happy. Yes, you should be. That's what you should be doing if you're Amato. Because a 4th shot from Jhin, plus an MF ulti, plus Lee Sin Q smite Q is more damage than Trashy can ever smite against.
That missing health damage can be like 2k damage. You cannot outsmite the Jhin 4th shot. They weren't in position to body block. That was so close to being the turning point for Fnatic. End of the day, Splyce still get it. Splyce still have the advantage. Yeah. They're gonna break the base, and this could be everything for them.
But again, we can't be too results oriented, right? Just because they got the Baron doesn't mean it was a good play.
Definitely taking a lot more risks than we expected to see after such clean earlier setups. At the end of the day, it works out for them.
Yeah.
But in a different game, if Fnatic weren't quite so far behind, if there was 1 second difference.
In another timeline, Fnatic could be Barry Allen.
sOAZ locked up, Splyce steady, siege down. Fnatic looking for one last opportunity, one last fight that they can potentially turn in their favor. 2 inhibitors down. Means the game is all but over. One last inhibitor standing in the way of Splyce and that Nexus.
And we're well on our way to Game 3 here in the series. Such a tense moment. Teams in such a similar position, so desperate for the win. Both confident going into the matchup. Confidence has been shaken on both sides now.
Curtain call. The damage, but Sencux is running forward. Gets locked up. QSS is out. Gangplank ult to make sure that Sencux is pretty comfortable to move forward. All from Jesiz to clear the waves. Wunder moves forward. Splyce just continue to choke out Fnatic. The Baron buff's in their favor. That is way too many cannon creeps, way too many super minions, but this is the last stand. Broxah gets locked up. The disengage is there. Broxah cannot move forward. sOAZ is all alone in the back line. He blocks what he can. Broxah wants to go in, but he doesn't get anything. Finally, Sencux will drop, but it's the Nexus that's going to drop against Fnatic, and Splyce who are going to take it to a series.
And that's a Game 3 in this series right here. Splyce taking the 2nd game, so in terms of motivation and confidence, they should be on the up and up. But that does mean, I think, that the side selection goes to Fnatic for Game 3. We need to confirm that. But they may just go back to blue side then.
Confirming it now. Discussed at the start of the day. Fnatic side selection for Game 1 and Game 3. And we have to assume that they'll go right back to the blue side and be right back in control of that draft phase.
But Yamato did such a good job with the blue side in game 2 here. Splyce were set up for success very early on, and you can definitely see like Fnatic considering what do we do next.
What went wrong? Was it the composition? Was it the execution? What needed to happen? Still smiles on the faces though. Team not too torn down by that game overall.
It's very easy to identify for Fnatic again where it went wrong. Like they had a somewhat snowball comp. They didn't get to counter any matchup, and then they got out rotated early on, and then they threw a Nasher. And at that point for Fnatic, like the replay stops. Anything after that is just trying to claw back from a notable earlier mistake.
Yeah, interesting to see overall. I'm curious to see what they can pull out in Game 3, but we have a deadlock here with Splyce and Fnatic at 1 game each. For a closer look at Game 2, let's send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. We want to start with the picks and bans here because you guys had a pretty interesting discussion going in terms of Fnatic's electing comfort over what is the optimal draft in each case.
Yeah, I was really surprised in the pick and ban phase. I really thought that Splyce won the pick and ban phase because so there was the Varus ban, and then Jhin suddenly falls through into the second pick and ban phase, and they already elected they also got the Ivern. So I was really surprised, and then Fnatic trades that off against Lee Sin.
Well, what Fnatic did that I did find interesting was they gave LeBlanc over, and then they said, okay, we go Shen, Malzahar. So this is where you want to see Jhin, obviously, because Varus was banned. But Malzahar is a flex pick for them, and Caps obviously wanted to play it against LeBlanc, and I think that was called like instantly. We're going to take Malz, we're going to play it mid. So when later on, as you guys can see in the second ban phase, when the bans come in as Zed and Katarina from Splyce, they actually wasted bans. And that allowed Jhin to go through into the second phase because Splyce obviously didn't want to pick it early either in this case, which they could have done, which allowed Jhin to fall into Fnatic's hands. So I think Fnatic, looking at it from their comfort perspective, would be like, great, we get the Malzahar mid lane, we want this matchup. As the only team in the world, it seems. But they want this matchup. We get Lee Sin for Broxah, which is a key thing, because this is where we really want to highlight. Maybe Lee Sin is not the best in his comp, but he likes to play Lee Sin, and his performance on it is better than what we assume on other junglers.
Yeah, so maybe actually that's kind of the plan of Fnatic, just taking comfort over the standard meta right now. But I really think that Splyce just got way more out of the pick and ban phase, having champions that are stronger in team fighting, better in split push, and also consider generally counter picks. LeBlanc being super strong right now, GP2
well,
into Shen.
I do want to bring that up again about the LeBlanc being super strong because I was talking about the similarities with Fnatic versus Vitality last week. First game, Fnatic absolutely smashes Vitality. It's not even a thing. Lee Sin and Broxah goes off in the early game. Second game, they leave LeBlanc open and GBM goes off and they end up losing that game. So I feel like it's kind of the same mistakes being made here because you cannot underestimate Sencux. You should estimate him higher than GBM even.
I think so, and I think you should also respect when certain picks gets removed, so your strategy might have to change. Because Ryze was the last ban from Splyce, and I think Ryze is one of the picks that you can take into LeBlanc and you can still have a lot of impact in the game, where you don't have to then go down to like the B tiers of Malzahar. Camille mid lane was tried by Caps last time where he lost the lane against LeBlanc as well. So I think once they saw the Ryze ban, they could have just pivoted and said, you know, we're not banning Rumble here, just ban the LeBlanc, get rid of it, don't take the chance. But they valued the Malzahar.
And I really want to say, we give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, we really wanted to see, like, kind of the combos, like LeBlanc jumps forward, insta-silence, WW, and then ultimate, and then maybe kill the LeBlanc. But we just didn't see anything of this game. So for us, like, not so understandable. Maybe there was, like, a bigger idea behind it, but it really didn't pay off.
Maybe we'll be able to ask them later, but it did go well in the beginning again, electing that comfort pick for Broxah, and he again goes off in the early game and facilitates some good moves for Fnatic early.
This is the comfort pick I'm a big fan of because he's still a new guy on the scene. He's a rookie. He gets this champion that was a good champion for him in EUCS, but now also on stage. And 2 games in a row, even with, if we take the first game against Vitality from last week, like that's 3 games now where he's been able to kind of snowball early game. And he gets his laners ahead, he does well on his own. And yes, they didn't win this game because also it's hard for him to have an impact much later. But the fact that he's able to kind of enable lanes much better than Amazing was able to do. And I think a lot of it comes down to this Lee Sin. But that's a great thing for Fnatic. And I still think it's worth it to kind of remove it just because of his ability to play the champion. And I want to see him on something else. I want to see him challenged to pick something else and if he can perform.
Yeah. And then on the other side, Fnatic, they made that early game happen, but they had to make some important decisions in the mid game. And as it always goes, it usually is around Baron. And here is where it all falls apart.
Yeah, I think just generally when you are wanting to play around Baron, it's really important that you either deny that the enemy gets it, or that it's not the 50-50 where afterwards you'd lose the team fight. So I think in all of this, we see just how Broxah is playing really well in the team fight, assassinating the Sivir. Now that they get the control, they're starting out the Nashor. Now it's a lot about who can zone whom from the Nashor pit and how they can control it. So for example, here, Malzahar ultimating the LeBlanc or zoning the LeBlanc doesn't work. He has QSS, and now, yeah, Wunder, even though he died, gave first blood, just shows why the GP is really, really strong right now.
Yeah, also really hard for caps, like with Malzahar in this situation, because like the targets he can ulti are kind of limited. QSS for LeBlanc comes in very early. We saw it in this one, used on LeBlanc. Instant QSS, she's gone. GP, no value in ulting him. Sivir with Spell Shield, and she's going to get a QSS as well. So, like, this is one of the reasons we kind of have to ask this big question around Malzahar mid lane specifically. Your mid lane is super mechanically gifted, and he loves to play these assassins and kind of snowball the game. But playing Malzahar 2 games in a row, or 2 games we've seen it now, very slow.
We don't like it. We don't like it. But I do want to, before we go, just talk about how Splyce, because we're talking a lot about Fnatic draft errors and Fnatic in-game errors, but Splyce did manage to win a game off the back of a good performance by Wunder, a great performance by Sencux, and just overall a comp that was fit to their style and drafted to their strengths. So what are we thinking here for Game 3, Sheepy?
I think picks and bans, Splyce should go the route that they are going right now. Once again, they should mitigate that early game pressure that Fnatic is able to put on them. Maybe removing the jungler, maybe playing out the lane smarter, because all those kills that Fnatic is getting on top of this Lee Sin, I mean, a lot of this is just able to be denied by Splyce. So I think really this is kind of the route, because just drafting-wise, otherwise, they always have ideas for the mid-game to kind of combo the enemies. So I really like this, and I hope we keep seeing that from Splyce.
All right, we'll see what happens. It is a tight battle here between Splyce and Fnatic when we return their third deciding fight on the Rift. Ding, ding. See you soon.
Broxah's over the wall, he has a decent amount of health. Splyce look like they have the man advantage for now. Broxah taking low, Sencux wants to go, and he's kicked back! Oh! Wunder's looking to clean up, he's already got 2. Last game, you can't throw a Baron if you don't do Baron, but they try it this time, and it's not looking good. Fnatic throw it all away in the pit. It healed up, sOAZ made a bit off more than he could chew. Broxah can't even get the follow-up, and Sencux out of nowhere. Woo!
Finally, I'm not sure.
Broxah wants to go in, but he doesn't get anything. Finally, Sencux will drop, but it's the Nexus that's going to drop against Fnatic, and Splyce who are going to take it to a series.